Well, welcome to Staff Chat. In this series, we are interviewing staff members here at Christian Family Chapel to learn a little bit more about them and a little bit about their journey of coming to CFC. Thanks for joining us. We're glad you're here for a chat. Today we have Ryan Towler with us, who is our college pastor here on staff. Thanks for being here.
Of course, it's a pleasure.
Thanks for bringing the energy.
Yeah, I wanted to try to mess up your intro, and you kept going, so well done.
Yes.
You do good in middle school ministry.
Aw, thanks. I'm good.
I tried, Bill. I tried.
That would be awesome. Ryan has a great ministry here with college and young adults, but today we're going to learn a little bit more about Ryan. So we're going to rewind a little bit here. What did you want to be when you grew up? So when you were a kid, you're like, oh, when I grow up, I want to be...
I actually, for much of my childhood, that answer would have been something in regards to the military.
Okay.
My dad and all the guys on his side of the family, brothers and stuff, they were in the military, Marines especially. And so I just had always thought I was going to go that direction. But my dad actually, at my wedding, told a story where I was hiking with him on the Appalachian Trail. There was a little shelter on the trail that you could kind of go into and sleep and stay out of the rain, so you didn't set up tents. There's a couple of those on the AT. And some guys were looking at me asking, hey, what do you want to do when you grow up? And I was super young. And I said I wanted to be a missionary. So I don't remember that at all, but working at church, so I guess I got somewhere close to that.
Yeah,
Little Ryan knew me better than older Ryan, I suppose. So, but for much of my life, I thought I was going to potentially go into the Marines. So
what point did that shift kind of change for you where you're like, I think I'm going to pursue something else?
Yeah, it's a great question, and one I did not anticipate. I had my junior year of high school had planned my whole life out.
Really?
Yes.
Like written down, like
yes.
a plan?
And it actually wasn't in towards the military. I had no idea what I wanted to do. And a conversation came up with a mom of one of my friends I was a junior, and she was saying, what do you want to do, Ryan? I said, I have no idea. And she said, I think you should go in to be a physical therapist and help people in PT. And I thought, I like people. I like active stuff. So that's what I'm going to do. And so I started planning my life to begin thinking about what programs have PT programs, or what universities have PT programs and stuff. And never invited the Lord into it at all. And there was a time I was convicted of that. It was my senior year at high school, and my youth pastor, who was Will Rutt, he came in as my youth pastor. Just had a great relationship with him, and he kind of posed the question to me: have I even invited the Lord into this process? And I started to, and within 2 weeks, everything changed for me.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
And I had never thought about working for the church, never crossed my mind. But as I offered my plans to the Lord, the desire to go into PT diminished, and a desire to move into vocational ministry in the realm of teaching the Bible grew. And I didn't know what's going on, and it was strange to not be excited for this anymore, because I was. And then kind of the crazy part is I had 3 mentors in my life who did not know each other. And within a 2-week time frame, they all 3 called me and said, I don't know why, but feel impressed to tell you that I think you should give your life to the church.
Wow.
And it was kind of a confirmation of what the Lord had
Totally
been
a
doing
confirmation.
in my heart personally.
Mm-hmm.
And went to a summer camp, and the summer camp had kind of a call to move and to set your life to serve the church, and kind of stood up for that. And after the past weeks of this interaction with the Lord, and then some mentors kind of reaching out to me as well. And so after that, I that was the route for me.
Wow.
So, yeah.
Total change.
Yeah, it was a total change.
Do you still have that original list where you had planned out your life going down the route of PT?
Yeah, basically. I mean, it's in an old journal of what I wanted to do.
Awesome.
And so very thankful for the Lord to switch it up, and glad I offered it to him, invited him in.
Such great wisdom.
Yeah.
all these plans, right, that we make.
I know.
And to offer those to the Lord.
I
And
know.
so then what was your next step? So now you have this confirmed, you know,
Mm-hmm.
this is where the Lord is leading, an incredible heart change
Yeah.
that is of the Lord. What did you do next with that?
Yeah, so I knew I felt like the direction was teaching the Bible in some capacity, but that was what was tough. I didn't know if I was gifted in teaching,
Sure.
and so maybe it was just in another place in the church. I had no idea, and so I was kind of talking to my youth pastor and thinking through what would be good steps, and he introduced Torchbearers International to me,
Okay.
which is a gap year program that's purpose is to teach young people the Bible and also help them understand what does it look like to live a life empowered by the Spirit. And there's 26 Torchbearer centers all around the world, and my youth pastor went to the one in Colorado, and he was pushing for me to go there too, but I kind of Googled all of them, read through all their kind of statements and where they are, and the Torchbearer School in Sweden had a basketball team that played in the semi-professional leagues in Sweden, and it was a part of their ministry. And so you'd play on the team from guys who are all across the world who are coming to this Torchbearer Center, and you would travel through Sweden playing basketball. And then afterwards, what I was reading was you just share why you're here. And all the teams wanted to know why a bunch of Americans and Canadians and Germans were showing up in Sweden. And so it provided a wonderful opportunity to share faith and be on a team whose purpose was to honor the Lord in your playing. And so that was really enticing for me, and that kind of pulled me to Sweden. And I wanted to see the world a little bit as well.
Sure.
And it was in that year that I fell in love with the scriptures. The headmaster of the school gave me some places to teach and affirmed a gifting, I should begin moving in this direction. And then after that year, I came back home. I grew up in Florence, South Carolina, and applied to Columbia International University because they had a degree called Bible teaching. And I looked in so many Christian colleges. I want to teach the Bible. Well, this school has a Bible teaching degree,
Yeah,
so that
sounds like it fits.
seems to fit really well. And so did 4 years. Did 4 years there, learning how to teach the Bible. And that program's job is to help you teach the Bible in the school system.
Oh, okay.
And so a lot of educational framework and curriculum framework, specifically in private schools, but there are some public schools that still teach the Bible up in North Carolina and Mississippi. And so about half of the students go into church, half the students go into the school. And after I graduated, I was more convinced I wanted to serve the church. And so that's kind of how I got here. Yeah.
Did you do some teaching in schools when
Yes.
you were in the program?
That's the most stressful thing about about that program. When your last semester, your senior year, they put you in a school somewhere on the coast, the southeast, and you are the Bible teacher.
Okay.
In that school for 10 to 12 weeks, basically. And so I taught the book of Acts to 10th graders in a school in Rock Hill, South Carolina. And it was hard. I did the math. It's 5 years of teaching if in terms of, I teach once a week for 50 weeks here in the church, but I taught 200 times there in 10 weeks. So it's just,
wow.
It's so much teaching. You learn so fast. You fail a whole lot, but and you try to be cool, but you're not cool.
No matter what you do.
No, they don't like
cool.
you. But that was a great experience for me. And
Absolutely.
It helped me know if I wanted to go into the school or church. And I had interned here at the chapel too during college, and so I just fell in love with it. So what an opportunity.
And that was your connection here at CFC, right? Was that first internship?
Yes. Well, in a way, it's kind of funny. My best friend in high school, his name was William. He's the nephew of Doug and Jackie.
Okay.
And I had no idea about that. And then my senior year in high school, Will Rutt, who of course is the son of Doug and Jackie, came as my youth pastor. And then through college, Tommy Rutt, who's another one of their sons, was my roommate in college. And so just a lot of strange connections here.
A lot of connections,
yes. Yeah. And then they directed me towards Bill, who was the middle school pastor and still is at the time, to learn how to teach the Bible and learn a lot about leadership under him. And so when I was a senior in high school, I actually came down with Will to a men's retreat.
Oh, that's awesome.
Technically that was my first interaction with CFC. Doug was teaching on Samson, the man in the mirror is what he called it, and it was the first time I thought, man, this is a wonderful church, and to see myself here working at that church years down the line, I never would have guessed it, but kind of a cool work of the Lord. So.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
He always works those details out in really cool ways.
I know.
And so how did you go? So you went to CIU,
Yep.
graduate, and then now you're here on staff.
Yes.
So how did that happen for you?
It's kind of a little bit of a funny story. I had graduated college, and I was applying to churches. Figured I'd be a youth pastor because I love students and I want to teach the Bible. And Doug called me and said, "What do you think about being a college resident?" So basically, it's super intern for college students. They were thinking about designating a full-time person to college ministry here at the chapel, but they wanted to see would it work,
Test it out a little bit.
That's right. So you bring in a resident for that. And I at first I'm not interested. I'm a college student. It's like why would I? They won't respect me. I'm just graduating college, and I said I'm not even sure if I want to serve college students. I thought I was going to go high school. And Doug, being, his persuasive nature that he is, I should have caught it. I should have seen it coming sooner. But he said, "Ryan, have you ever served middle school students?" I said, "Yeah, internship. I helped out when I was in high school with the middle school ministry." And he said, "Did you love them?" I was like, "Yeah, I loved them. I really did." And then he said, "You ever served high school students?" "Yeah, I worked two summers at a summer camp as an outdoor activities director up in Greenville, South Carolina. I loved high schoolers." And I said, "Yeah, I served high school." He said, "Did you love them?" And I said, "Yeah, I loved serving them." He said, "It sounds like the people you serve you love. So why did you not think it would carry to college?" Oh man.
He got you.
He got me.
Wow,
He got me. I'm like,
line.
okay, that makes sense. I can't argue that. Hard to argue against him. He usually wins. And so I thought, okay, well, I love this church. I see the wisdom in the words, and it's not South Florida, it's North Florida. and it's close to the beach, which is kind of fun.
Absolutely.
So, and it was nice for me to have that residency. I actually think if I didn't have the residency, I might have said no.
Really?
Because the residency gave me an out if it just didn't work out. I show up and it's like, this is not where I want to be. I at least give 2 years. I'll give 2 years of hard work, and then there's a place for either CFC to say no thank you or for me. And so that kind of trial in a way was a gift to me because it was just 2 years is not a long time. And I, of course, was engaged at that point and saw some benefit to kind of us as a family unit, develop as a family unit in a city where we don't know anyone. It's just us two. I saw some benefit there with me and my fiance at the time, Hannah. And so those kind of led me to say yes. And then I think it was a year and a half in, they offered me the full-time job, and I kind of left the residency and became the college pastor officially. I've been here ever since, over 5 years now.
Wow, it's been 5 years?
Crazy, yes, crazy. So
that's awesome.
Yep.
Yeah, and Ryan's wife, Hannah, served here as our receptionist for a while.
Yeah.
And I think it was when you were offered the full-time job. We're like, long as Hannah stays,
That's
you can
right.
stay.
Tony told me that they secretly offered me the job to keep her because she was doing database work for the church, and she still is. And so it was the surefire way to keep the better Towler, which I respect. I respect. There's no shame in that at all.
Wise decision making there,
That's
right?
right. That's right.
Well, Ryan's you've done an incredible job in the college ministry, and it's so cool to hear your story and how the Lord affirmed and changed your heart and then provided and then has continued to give you a heart in this ministry. And that's been really, really cool to see just from an outside perspective.
Yeah.
And how you pour into these students and young adults. It's such a really critical time for them. And as you've served in this ministry, how would you say the Lord's grown you in the past year?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think the biggest places of growth have been 3 places. One, do you shepherd someone? Do you come alongside someone and help them through their hardest times, their best times, the times of questions, the big moments of decision. I feel like I've grown a lot in that. College ministry is an interesting season of life because it's the most amount of decisions I think they'll make in their life in the least amount of time, and that pressure is a lot. It's a lot of weight on the shoulders of college students, and so being a good shepherd and friend and mentor to them has been something I've learned. How to lead college students, of course, has been a challenge. What works with them, what doesn't work with them, what works with middle school doesn't work with college at
Right.
times. So learning how to build and develop a ministry that leads students to become more like Jesus. I feel like I've grown in, but probably the biggest thing has been in my teaching. I'd probably call myself in the beginning of me teaching the Bible a copycat. I listened to John Piper too much probably, and I began to try to emulate him, to sound like him.
Oh, like mini Piper teachings.
That's right. And that's not me, and that's not helpful at all. And something we say in the Bible teaching program at CAU a lot is the best method you could use in teaching the Bible is your redeemed personality. That who God has made you to be is who God wants you to be as a teacher. And I feel like in the past 2 years, my redeemed personality has begun to show up in my teaching. It's not about emulating or trying to sound like or trying to mimic a good teacher. It's about trying to find out the teacher that God wants me to be, which is in accordance to who He's made me to be, my giftings, my personality, my humor, And so I'd probably say that my teaching, how I teach, has changed the most, and I've grown the most in that throughout the years. So
That's awesome.
yeah.
And that's something so interesting in ministry that I've learned. It's not like you've arrived.
That's right.
And it's a constantly growing process.
Yes.
Constant refinement.
Yes. And I had a mentor kind of talk about this as well. He said, Ryan, your 20s are to develop your character. Your 30s are to figure out who you are and what your giftings are. And your 40s are to figure out who you're not. And he said your 50s and 60s are the most fruit you'll have in your ministry. And I'm beginning to understand how the importance of just establishing strong character in this season of my life has been important, but to begin to kind of figure out and move through, well, who am I? I'm not that guy. I'm not that guy. I'm not Doug. I'm not John Piper. I'm Ryan. And where has the Spirit gifted me? Because that's where I want to be. And so trying to weed through that's hard, and it takes time, and everyone wishes they could snap their fingers and know their gifting and excel in it. But
Oh, for sure.
Paul talks to Timothy, and he says, take pains to grow the gifting. He's referring to teaching gifting so that your progress will be made evident to all. And so a gift isn't where you want it to be when it starts. There has to be growth. And so I've wanted to take pains in my gifting of teaching, and felt like I've sought to do that well. So, yeah.
I'm excited to see how the Lord continues to grow you.
Yeah.
In that, and part of also who Ryan is he's a Scotsman.
I wondered if you would bring this up.
So tell us a little bit about a certain event that you went to recently.
Well, my family has some Scottish heritage, and there's a Scottish festival called the Grandfather Mountain Scottish Highland Games that happens up in Grandfather Mountain, North Carolina, and about 120 Scottish clans, people who their last name is Montgomery or Wallace or something. They all show up, and there's a big field on the top of Grandfather Mountain, and there's a bunch of Scottish games that happen. So they're throwing telephone poles. It's called caber tossing. They're doing sheep herding, Scottish wrestling, and it's a weekend where the clans compete against each other. There's like 20,000 people that show up.
Wow.
And so my clan and we compete. We run the clan kilted mile, and we do some kilted relay races. And our clan won the clan kilted relay race.
Well done.
Yes,
well
got
done.
a big old gold medal for that.
To wear with their kilts.
That's right. So it's just I think if you were a stranger, you would think this is the weirdest thing. You're like visiting Grandfather Mountain and you're walking up the mountain and then you just see 1,000 people in kilts running around. Like
Bagpipes.
That's right. A bunch of bagpipes and competitions and stuff. And they'll have Scottish bands come in, and there's these rock groves that the bands will show up, and the sound just amplifies off these massive rocks. And you just kind of listen to this music and stuff. So it's a blast. And you get to eat haggis, which I don't know if you ever had haggis before.
I have not. I struggle with whether I'd be willing to try that.
You should be willing. It'll change your life for the worst.
For the worst?
Yes.
This is gross. Try it.
Yes. It's basically sheep intestines cooked in its own stomach. It tastes wonderful for about 2 seconds, then death after that. So
I think I'll take your word for it rather than trying it myself.
I understand. But it's a fun event. And I go with a mentor of mine who poured a lot of time into me as I was growing up and in my teenage years. So it's really good to spend time with him because he lives up in South Carolina. And it's just fun. So that's awesome. That's where I was just this past weekend.
Great experience.
Something tells me I'm going to be made fun of.
Don't know why you would think that.
It's something to take pride in.
There you go. It's part of your heritage.
That's right.
Something to take pride in. So you also serve a lot with middle school and with college. You guys play a lot of games, a lot of creative games. So we're going to play some games.
Okay.
Well, I'm going to let you choose the game. So I'll give you 2 choices.
Okay.
One you're probably familiar with. It's called small, medium, large.
Okay.
Small question, seemingly easy to answer, large being more difficult. Or the other game is called Yikes.
And I get no description on yikes.
That's all I get, it's just yikes.
Oh. Wow. Well, I'm curious on yikes because I'm in student ministry, so I'm always looking for good games. So I've never heard yikes before. So let's go this route. I've heard small, medium, large. Bill does that.
Yep, I took that one from Bill.
Yes, so let's go yikes.
Yikes?
Yes, yikes for
awesome.
20.
I'm so glad you picked yikes.
Yikes.
What's your most embarrassing moment in ministry?
Oh, yikes. I understand now.
It's my favorite game.
Ooh, okay. One was during Power Up Clubs. We had just heard our fearless leader, Becky Conover, in front of all the captains say, don't use the water balloons and the water balloon launchers on water day. Keep the campus dry because you need to use the stuff and your clubs don't waste. You only have a certain amount of water balloons. Don't use the water balloons and water balloon launchers. And it was 6, 7 a.m. I'm kind of tired, so I didn't hear it like I should have. Okay, I'll say that. And me and J Monk got on top of the building last year, and we're shooting water balloons with water balloon launchers at kids.
I remember this.
Okay, and we were having a blast, like nailing kids with water balloons, and these things fire, like they go fast and hard. And so we had to loosen up a little bit. It was one of the most fun times hitting kids with water balloons on top of South. And then I saw Becky's face.
You got the mom face.
I got the Becky Bear face. Is what we call it.
Joke.
And I recognized I had made a huge mistake. And it was this moment of embarrassment on top of the house where you're sitting there like just having a blast, laughing, and then everything comes crashing down on you of, I'm not supposed to be up here. And all of 50 students are like, shoot me. And I'm looking at Becky up, no, I shouldn't shoot you. And then we got off the roof and then gave her a peace offering. She has a favorite drink that we bought 9 of them. And please forgive us. And so that was an embarrassing moment.
You should just have those drinks in stock this summer and going forward.
Yes.
Just assuming you're going to need them.
Becky, I don't know what I'm going to do wrong today, but something. Here's one. Here's another. I wish I had the name of them so that everyone could just keep giving them to her, but I can't remember.
That's okay.
Yeah, so.
You can save that one. Other people can find their own way.
Yeah, that's right.
Well, thanks for sharing your yikes today.
Oh, another one's come to mind.
Ooh, excellent. Let's hear it.
My first time ever in front of the main service. I was doing announcements. It was when they were meeting in the shop on a Thursday night. And I got up there and I was like, I'm going to try to say something funny. And I said something funny and everyone laughed. And I thought, I didn't think that was that funny of a joke. And I'm like, well, I must be a funny person. And so I finished it, got down, and Doug kind of leaned into me and he said, Ryan, your zipper was down. I thought they were laughing at my humor. They weren't. I just embarrassed myself. So, and for the next 6 months, I was known as that guy, the guy whose zipper was down. And I still get people telling me, make sure your zipper's up.
Really?
Yeah, 5 years later, basically, make sure your zipper's up.
Wow.
Thank you.
Well, at least it wasn't the live stream then.
That is true. So, yes, that was an embarrassing moment.
That's a yikes for sure.
It was a yikes, yes.
That continues.
Yes. Well, do I get to ask you if you have any yikes?
Nope.
What?
No. Well, thanks for joining us on the podcast today.
I want to come back in when it's your turn, and Doug, make sure you do yikes for Tracy.
That's fair. That's fair.
I just remember something about a fear of ET or something. Was that?
I don't know. I'm not sure what you're talking about,
I'll have to
Ryan.
remind Doug to bring this up.
Well, thank you so much for sitting and chatting today,
yeah,
for being on the podcast. Thanks, everyone, for listening. And I would really encourage, if you have questions about Ryan's ministry or other ministries here at CFC, to reach out. You can follow us on Instagram, College Ministries on Instagram. Follow what they're doing so you know what's going on, and can also pray for them. And we hope you'll join us for future episodes. So make sure you follow us at CFCJAX, wherever platform you listen to podcasts. Thanks for joining us.
Yep. See you guys.